ॐ यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंशर्षिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादी नगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधाम् बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततम् पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। It is only the jnani, the enlightened one, who has set himself free from all misery, and therefore such a jnani alone is capable of giving some light to this world. People of enormous intelligence, educational qualifications, enormous influence and power, all of them are still troubled, tortured by their own insecurities, by misery. These are the people with great intelligence, with great educational qualifications, with serious commitment to reform this world, can give topical solutions. They can strive to bring about changes in the society. Perhaps they can bring about a system of justice, of equality, of equal opportunities and also can create opportunities for employment and generating wealth in the world. And yet, even if all these great people put together, they cannot set the world free from miseries. Somewhere of the other, the sorrow, the misery still finds its way inside to percolate inside. And therefore, it is only he who has set himself completely free alone can show the path to the world. And a jnani, the one who has truly, he who has known the true self, the true meaning of, true nature of the self. Now, Tarati Shokam Atmavit, the Upanishad says that he who has known the Atma, known the self, goes beyond all misery, all sorrow. And this is what Bhagavan Shri Krishna also declared right in the beginning of his discourse. Bhagavan Shri Krishna said, Panditaha na anushočanti. The one who are the knowers of Atma, Panditaha, they do not come to grief, for they have found the solution. People elsewhere are lurking in darkness, throwing their darts in the dark, thinking that something will reach, hit the target, and there will be light. And one can keep on doing it all the while. And therefore, what I'm trying to say over here is, now it is only in the shade, of such a great person, the world can find its true solace, a respite. And therefore now, when because of such people alone, we are able to have some hope in living. Otherwise, will the wealth, will the power, will popularity, will even going to the heaven really end the misery? To this question, the answer in affirmation would no, it. The answer with confidence would be no, it cannot. Then what is the point in living if nothing over here can put an end to the misery? Therefore, because of a jnani alone, we are able to see the possibility of putting an end to the misery. And therefore, the life becomes meaningful. So in the 11th verse, where the discourse has begun, Shri Krishna said, Bhagavan Krishna has said that Panditaha na anushočanti, jnaninaha na anushočanti. In the 12th verse, then if he is a jnani, means the knower, then it means what has he known? What has he known because of which now he is free? This is naturally going to be the question. And therefore, in this 12th verse, then he brings about the nature of the self. But self is something which is known to everyone. It does not take any education, any economic status to know I am. This knowledge that I am, I exist. So the self knowledge seems to be there. Then what are you saying that it is through the self knowledge that one can put an end to misery? To this question, we answer by saying, though we know, but that knowledge is erroneous knowledge. It may be workable, but just because it works does not mean that it is not erroneous. It is erroneous. And therefore, what would be the knowledge which can be said as to be irrefutable knowledge? Because when you say it is knowledge, knowledge means something which is irrefutable. When you say it is a rope, it is irrefutable. You cannot refute, you cannot replace it by saying that, no, sir, it is a snake, or it is a stream of water, or it is a crack in the ground, because that object is a rope. So to know, to see the object as that object is knowledge, and that is irrefutable. If it is rope, and if one is going to know it otherwise, to know the rope as snake, to know the rope as a crooked stick, to know the rope as a crack in the ground, or to know the rope as a stream of water or a garland of flowers, all these vikalpas, all these options, then are only erroneous knowledges. This is all erroneous, exactly like that. Though one has this knowledge, I am, but presently that I am is I am a man, I am a woman, I am beautiful, I am ugly, I am good, I am bad. I am good, but people call me bad. I am bad, but I want people to call me good. Whatever is your demand and whatever you see yourself as, is that refutable or not, is the question. If it is refutable,
Very
if it
low
is
sound.
replaceable, if it is modifiable, is my sound not clear? Mahadev, if there is a note from someone saying that the sound is not there, is the sound not there?
It is there, Swamiji.
It is there. I cannot hear you, any one of you, perhaps.
Ji Swamiji, it
Yes,
is there.
Swamiji.
स्वामी जी ठीक है
It is
लो
very
है
low.
फेडेड है
It's
Okay.
very low.
If you are, even if it is, the sound is really very low, and if you still are able to hear, we may still continue. Is that okay to continue?
Ji Swamiji.
All right. All right, we will continue. So we have, if that knowledge is refutable or replaceable or even modifiable, that means it is not knowledge. Knowledge has certainty. This certainty is not the certainty of insistence. This is not a certainty of adamantness. It is a certainty which is born from pramana vyapara, through the transaction of employing the right means of knowledge. When the appropriate means of knowledge is employed, and when there is no obstacle preventing this means of knowledge from operating, then the knowledge is generated by itself, and this knowledge has its own firmness. This firmness is not the firmness of adamancy. It is not a firmness like that of a resolution which is dependent on the ego. Generally, people have got this. Something is said as to be right because I am saying it. If this is what is basis of one's argument, then one is only caressing the ego, cajoling the ego. It has got nothing to do with knowledge. It has got more to do with only feeding the ego. Flattering the ego. And therefore, this is not treated as knowledge. Not, remember, let us remember one thing, knowledge will always have firmness. So also whatever is said by the ego will also have a degree of firmness. But the firmness of the knowledge has got nothing to do with the person. The firmness of the ego has got to do with the ego. If your argument is something is right and something is correct, because I am saying it, because this is what is acceptable to me, then over there, the predominance is of ego. Over here, in case of knowledge, the ego has got no place at all. It is just the knowledge which is generated by the faultless, defectless means. So this knowledge that I am a man, I am a woman, I am the experiencer, I am the doer, I do something good, I do something that is wrong, something that is bad. As a result of doing good, I am able to enjoy moments of pleasure and peace. And as a result of something that is wrong, I suffer as its consequence. This I, the experiencer, I, the doer, is that the right meaning of word I is the question. Because if this is the right meaning of I, then you already know the self, and the 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 sign, the indication of knowing the self is freedom from misery, end of misery. Has that happened or not? If this hasn't, then that means one has not known the self. In Chandogya Upanishad, there is a very interesting uh, passage. It says, Narada, a great scholar, goes to Sanat Kumar and he tells Sanat Kumar that, sir, I have known all the branches of knowledge. Presently, you can name it, and I know them all thoroughly. Everything I know thoroughly, this worldly, otherworldly, all those things are known to me. I may be revered in this world as a great scholar, as a great man because of these achievements. But, sir, my problem is I have heard that the knower of the self does not grieve. He does, he does not have misery. And here I am, Bhagavo Aham Shochami, O Lord. I find myself suffering. And suffering is psychological suffering. Because if there is a physical suffering, there can be a solution. That I suffer. And therefore, now I am able to conclude that since there is suffering, I am not enlightened, I do not know. And it takes a great courage to admit one's ignorance. Narada says that even Arjuna over here is also saying the same thing, that Krishna, O Shri Krishna, I am suffering. Impart, give me that knowledge, because it is in that knowledge the Upanishads say that one becomes free from dukkham. So Arjuna already has shown, admitted that yes, what I want to do away with is misery, but the misery is produced, is manufactured by this ignorance, and therefore without having put an end to the ignorance, even misery cannot end. Therefore, please give me this knowledge. And so now, in the 12th verse, we come across knowing the self means not knowing the self as this little ego, this person as an entity, as the doer, as the experiencer, as a man, as a woman, as good and bad. This is not what is knowing the self. Then how is the self known? Is knowing that the self is uncorruptible by time. That which is not limited by time, that which is not conditioned by space, that which is not conditioned by any attributes, and therefore is Param, and that is what we are. Therefore, the time cannot destroy, the time cannot create the self, the space cannot limit this, the self. The self is not an object which can be found in one corner of the space, in one unit of the time, but is that in which this entire world of all time and space and object appears and disappears. That is what is the nature of the self. And therefore, he who has known the self as Nityam, then definitely he will not grieve, because the bodies, etc., are subject to coming and going, subject to birth and death. But that which is free from, you cannot grieve for the self. And what is the nature of these bodies or the changing phenomena, which is this world, that it is only an appearance. Therefore, there cannot be any grief for Atma. There is no grief possible because of Anatma. There cannot be any joy for the snake on the rope is born, or there cannot be any grief for the snake when it gets destroyed by switching the light on. That which is an appearance cannot become the cause of misery. And that which is an appearance is anatma. Therefore, anatma is not the cause of misery. Atma is not the cause of misery, and therefore misery has no place at all. For there can be only these two places for misery. The misery can be caused because of the self, and misery can be caused because of that what is not the self. There is no third category available which can be said as to be existing and hence can become a cause for misery. It is totally unjustified. Though unjustified, yet it appears to be a reality only to those who have not known what is the true nature of the self. And therefore, the early declaration that Panditaha na anushochanti, those who are the knowers of the self, do not have any grief, any sorrow, any misery, stands unrefuted. This is what is the nature of the self. How was it said over there in the 12th verse? Natvevaham chatunasam natvam neme chanathipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. Therefore, that which is available in all the bodies as the self is param, is supreme, because there is nothing that can rule that what is supreme. Generally, we find that everything is ruled by the time. Even the most powerful kings and emperors are also ruled by time, by circumstances. But that which is most powerful cannot be ruled, cannot be dominated by even by time. Generally, we say that powerful people rule this world. People with power of money, people with power of education, people with power of influence are able to rule the world. But even those people are also ruled by time. The time will sooner or later trample them all, pulverize them all, reduce them to dust, to soil, to ash, only to fly in the air, insignificant. But that what is supreme is not even ruled by the time. And that is what the self is. And therefore, Arjuna, knowing this self, there is no grief. There will not be any place for any grief. The only place for grief to exist is ignorance. It is not in Atma, it is not in Anatma, then it is there only where ignorance is. And how long can ignorance be there? As long as the knowledge has not reached. As long as the light of knowledge has not reached, ignorance will rule the roost. Therefore, now Arjuna, It's okay. Furthermore, in the 13th verse, Bhagavan Krishna says, Dhiraha namuhyati. Take the last quarter of the verse. We have chanted this verse earlier. We can chant it once more. Dehinosmin yatha dehe. Dehinosmin yatha dehe. Kaumaram yauvanam chara. Kaumaram yauvanam chara. Tatha dehantara praptihi. Tatha dehantara praptihi. Dhirastatra na muhyati. Dhirastatra na muhyati. In the 12th verse, in the 11th verse, he said that the Panditaha no shochanti. Now, over there, the shoka, sorrow or misery was denied. Now, in this 13th verse, he says, Dhiraha tatra namuhyanti. Dhiraha namuhyanti. This is the thing. In the last quarter of the shloka of that verse. Dhiraha namuhyanti. The one who is called as Pandita in the earlier shloka, the same person is referred over here as Dhiraha. Okay? Dhira means the one who has Dhairyam also. But Dhira means the one who is intelligent. What happens to this intelligent person? Now, who is called as intelligent, we will have to see. The one who is Dhiraha, he is not deluded. So, as in the 11th verse, Shoka was refuted, in this 13th verse, Moha, which is delusion, is also refuted. So, we have seen the problem is twofold. Sorry, is twofold. One is shoka, and then there is moha. Shoka and moha are seen as the root cause of samsara, of miserable existence. The sorrow, sadness. Now, the sadness could be due to various reasons. One can be sad because there are too many people. One can be sad because he is lonely and no people at all. One can be sad because he has no space of his own. And one can be sad because in his space there are no people to share his space. As much as loneliness can be a problem, so also being constantly in public attention also can be a problem. Constant attention can be a problem, and not having attention also can be a problem. And for people like us, not having sufficient attention is also a problem. My husband, my wife, they love me. He or she loves me, but he does not love me sufficiently. There are different ways of saying he respects me, but the respect is not sufficient. He appreciates me, but that appreciation is not sufficient. Sadness, shokaha is there. So also there is this delusion is also not there. For whom is this not there? For Dhira. What has he known? He has known Atman as Nitya. Nitya means changeless, which means free from influence of time. Therefore, is Param, is supreme. And how does he know now? Dehinaha asmin dehe kaumaram yauvanam chara. Just as in this present life, Dehinaha, to the one who is obtained in this body, the indweller of this body, the one who has the claim that this body is mine. To this Dehi, about the one who is obtained right in the body, about him we are speaking. Dehinaha asmin dehe. In this very body, what happens? There is the body itself has kept on changing, and the body has changed means there is almost a different body. It is a different body. The body of an infant, the body of an adolescent, the body of an adult, and the body of an old person. These are different bodies altogether. But the one who is dwelling inside, for him, he has never changed. What has changed is the bodies have changed. Not only that the body has changed, mark my words, the bodies themselves have changed. The infant's body is changed for an adolescent's body. An adolescent's body is changed for an adult's body. An adult's body is changed into this declining body, an old person's body in the old age. Yauvanam chara. So also, as much as the person is not deluded with regards to change of bodies, even when there is dehantara prapti, when there is a change of body which is called as death, over there also he is not deluded that this Atma is not destroyed. There is no delusion because I will be destroyed, or the one who is there in the other body, that Atma will be destroyed. No such delusion happens to him because now he has known that Atma is one and is changeless. That changeless Atma is the one who is dwelling in all the bodies. The expression may be that over here he becomes available as a particular doer and experiencer, over there as another doer and an experiencer. Yet this doership and experiencership associated with the self in different bodies, creating as if different Atmas and multiplicity of Atma, is not true. Because this Atma is not a doer and an experiencer. The difference is there from one experience. The differences exist in the bodies. This is a body of a man, that is a body of a woman, that is a body of an infant, and that is another body of an aged person. There are differences in the bodies. There are differences in this doership, experiencership. He is a punyavan, that one is a papi. He is holy, that one is a sinner. He is innocent, that one is a criminal, so on and so forth. The doership, experiencership may vary, is going to vary from body to body. So the differences will exist where in the bodies, in the doership, experiencership, But is the self the body or the doer and the experiencer is the question. And one discovers that this I, the self, is free from doership and experiencership. And therefore, this I is not even divided, is one, is available in all the bodies, and he is the indweller. In fact, when we say is the indweller, it is like saying the pot, that there is space in the pot. Our question is the space containing the pot, or is the pot in the space? When you are going to say the gold is in the ornament, it appears as if the ornament is the container and the gold is the content. Our question now is the ornament in the gold or the gold in the ornament? What is where? On a verification and analysis, now you will say that the ornament is in the gold, because ornament is born in the gold, exists in the gold, and goes back, is destroyed and goes back to the gold. Gold remains changeless. And therefore, what is the reality of the gold? Of the ornament? What is the true nature of the ornament? If the ornament is a bangle or a bracelet, what is the truth? What is the reality? What is the fact about that bracelet, about that bangle? Is that it is gold. So also, in the state of ignorance, one is bound to say, just as one was saying that the gold is in the ornament, the gold is in the bangle. We are going to say that the self is in the body. But having woken up, having had the knowledge, one is now able to see it clearly, that this entire world of all the bodies is in that principle which was earlier called as the indweller of the body, the one to whom these bodies belong. Now the word Dehi is not going to be used, but with the meaning that the one who is in the body, but the word Dehi is going to mean the one to whom all the bodies belong. Just as gold is that to which all the ornaments belong. And therefore, Madhusudana Saraswati said it very clearly. What is this Dehi? Sarve Dehaha Yasya Santi Sadehi. The one to whom all the bodies belong is Dehi. He could have easily said that the word Dehi means the one who is obtained, is seen, is found in the body, the indweller. But we are going to use both the positions because it is a transition from ignorance to knowledge. Remember our prayer, Tamasoma Chotirgamaya, from darkness to light. Tamasoma Chotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, and Asatoma Satgamaya, from Asat, from that what is unreal, to that what is real. from that which is fraught with death to that which is the very nectar of immortality, deathlessness, amritam gamaya. So, for the sake of transition from this ignorance to knowledge, what is the early statement? What is the meaning of Dehi? The indweller, the one who is obtained in this body. And now, what is the meaning of the word Dehi? The one to whom all the bodies belong. The one to whom all the bodies belong is like saying the gold is in the ornament to now saying all the ornaments exist in the gold. This is the meaning of word Dehi. Dehinaha asmin dehe. So now there is no confusion about what this Dehi is. The Deha, which means the heap, the body, which is ultimately nothing but just a heap of all the, various chemicals, the liquids, fluids, the bones, the flesh, the fat, all put together. This heap is called as this body. The one who is available in this body is the Dehi. And what is now the status of this Dehi is Nitya, is changeless, and is one available in all the bodies. Why is he one? Because the differences belong to the body. The differences can belong to the ego. The differences belong to the body-mind structure. But what is the proof to say that even the indweller is also different? Because the indweller is neither the body nor the ego. The self is neither this body nor this ego. Then on what basis can you ever say that the, the self is also different in different bodies? The differences can be there in the bodies, but not in the self. And the self is obtained in this body and therefore is the indweller. But this is what is one, changeless, and all these changes are in the body and the ego, is an appearance in this one that is changeless. Therefore, what is this I, the self? That changeless principle which is one. So is Nityam and is Ekam. How have you discovered the meaning of the Tehi now? What have you discovered as the meaning of the Tehi? Is the one who is Nityam. Nityam means uninfluenced by time, permanent, changeless, is Nityam. And the second thing about this Dehi you have found is that is one. Thus, he who knows this I, the self, as Nityam and as one, for him there is no more. This is what the Upanishad says. Tatra ko moha kashokaha ekatvam anupashyatah. Ishavasya Upanishad says this, that where is shoka and moha? How can this delusion and sorrow be possible? There is no delusion and no sorrow possible for he who is able to see the oneness and the nityatvam, ekatvam tatra ko moha kashokaha. Thus, now we are very much in resonance with Sri Krishna Bhagavan is speaking. The dhira, this intelligent person now has no shoka and no moha, because now he is not deluded even when the bodies are destroyed. Therefore, Arjuna, know what is the true nature of the self. Okay? Let us meet for the next verse in our next class. There are a lot of things which need to be discussed even in this present verse. Because analysis will not be complete, will not be justified, unless and until we are able to look at it from more angles. So let us do that exercise as we meet, when we meet next. Om Purnamataha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vaishishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Eshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashikatau Vande Bhagavantam Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Please tell me if the sound was okay. After that, were you people able to listen to it, listen to the discourse? It was okay. Has the audio quality been compromised or something like that?
No, Swamiji, I didn't feel it. Maybe some other people can also give a
Anybody?
feedback.
Okay, Blake says it was okay. Feeble,
Yeah.
but yes, it was still discernible. All right, thank you. Quality is fully next time. We will have a better quality, whatever this internet, etc. should be. Well,
Or
thank you
Swamiji,
very
you
much.
can wear the mic also, Swamiji. You can wear the mic also.
Mic or no mic is not really making any difference. As you are speaking from there, I have difficulty to do this.
Okay, it's the internet connection, I think then.
Internet. Let's see.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow morning how it goes. Well, thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swamiji.
I'll take my leave.
Thank you.